All right, everyone. We have a special treat for you right now. You may notice a name next to Sonia Long on your cover of Coup, and it's the one, the only Vakan Sartirani, and he's here with us today to share some of his experience illustrating Coup. Let's welcome him to the stage.
Hey. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay, very good. I would like to share my screen here. I will just. Okay. Okay. So I am Vakon Sartirani, and I am illustrator and comic artist. I was introduced in Toki Pona some years ago by my, as many of you, I guess, by my own passion for conlangs, for constructed language. Even if I'm not an Esperantist, but I'm just like I have a very superficial interest of that, and I found it, of course, very interesting, and I wanted to make a comic in Toki Pona, sitelen after and watching discovering the sitelen for Jonathan Gabel. So I contacted Jonathan Gabel and asked him permission to use sitelen. I know it was probably an overkill. And then I did my first Toki Pona comic, which is called Nasin Nasa. Now I would see if I can mainframe maybe. Okay, screen. Okay, can you see my screen now? Can you see my screen?
Confirmed.
Okay, so a brief first. Let's if you didn't see that, Nasin Nasa is a 5-episode long comic that you can find on Tapas, on Webtoon, and on my Instagram. And it is all written in sitelen. And yeah, I first wrote the dialogue in Toki Pona myself. And then I asked at a Toki Ponist in Berlin, Jan Tepan, who is the Toki Pona name of Stefan Schneider, local Toki Ponist, to be a lecturer of my Toki Pona, because I didn't have like the confidence enough to. I know there are as many Toki Pona version of how many speakers there are there. So I wanted one that was sort of like more on a community level. So after a while that this was around, Sonia contacted me because she was working on what is now called Ku. And I was given the job to do around 40 illustration for 40 definitions in Toki Pona, and I was, of course, very, very happy to do that. And I'm going to show you some of the illustration that I did. And here is the software that I used. It is Clips to the Paint. And the most interesting part of doing all this illustration is that it was not the usual thing. That means that, for example, a kesisubi, which is frog, needs to both mean frog and to mean like a cute animal. No, so I had to illustrate both the literal English, or not English, but the literal English definition of that, and at the same time the Toki Pona definition that not always overlapped. In this case, for example, I made it by making the frog peculiarly sweet. And then it has, for example, this is for pan of the French. So of course I needed to include the pan in the picture And to avoid one thing that we agreed, Sonia and I, is that we want to avoid at all costs offensive depiction, stereotypes, or any kind of mistakes of old school mistakes in illustration that we both don't like. So instead of making cliche French, we made something that it was more like proud to be French. So with coq and still the baguette. And some of them were pretty straightforward. For example, Ilo Tempo Suno is this kind of sundial, and is pretty much a sundial. But let's go with the most challenging one, Ilo Kalama. And well, it's just a musical instrument, no? So in illustrating one musical instrument, if you draw a guitar, then Ilo Kalama, of course, it is an Ilo Kalama, but then somebody will understand, okay, Ilo Kalama is a guitar. Or, I mean, you cannot just illustrate an example of musical instrument, because this is not how Toki Pona works, because Toki Pona, the more context there is, the more the definition gets defined. So in lack of any context, this must be the widest musical instrument possible. So this is what I want, this kind of hybrid instrument. This is another example. For example, Ilo Awen, what we got here. And Ilo Awen, as you probably know, in Toki Pona may mean many. Is there anyone? I can hear some noise. Can you please, everybody mute? Thank you. Thank you. Okay. And so, as many of you probably already know, Ilo Awen can mean a lot of things. Can mean a lock. Can mean this stuff, but I don't remember the English name for an anchor, and can mean a clip. So that's why I tried to put everything in the same picture. But let's go in one of my let's go ahead and see. I will just go. This, for example, is pregnancy. Yan li ilo e yan lili lon insa ona. It's quite a long definition, but of course in Toki Pona. Oh, and there are some, for example, here a good example. This is bishop. And of course, it's quite dry as a drawing, because even if bishop in English, this is something that I needed to stay away from. Bishop, there was like, of course, you can draw a bishop like a clergyman, but bishop doesn't mean that only in English it has a double meaning. And if you read to the Toki Pona definition, yan litawan lon linea pipoca sinpin is just a piece that goes diagonally. So there's no way that drawing a bishop would mean anything in Toki Pona. So that's why in this case, for example, I've drawn just the chess piece of a bishop. This is one of my favorite. Yan Sewi is a shaman, or a holy man, or like a priest. And I had one of my more complicated, more elaborated for this project. And here we got a vampire, inspired from the Nosferatu kind of vampire. Another one that I like a lot is Jan Poka. Jan Poka can mean a lot in Toki Pona. In dictionary, I think it means friend, companion, mate, or whatever. So it was a little struggle at the beginning to decide how to illustrate companionship, but yeah, they are two mates. This is another good example of how I tried to illustrate the multiple semantic ambiguity of Toki Pona. Yan Moon, according to Ku, means at the same time alien and astronomer, or person that comes. So Yan moon in the sense of person coming from the moon, that means from a celestial object, or a person who is looking at a celestial object. So you see, in many of my illustration for Ku, I wanted to keep all the meanings in the illustration. I didn't want to just illustrate one of my favorite. I tried to keep both of them, keep it open. For example, another thing is Yan Nasa that can mean elf or witch. And of course, an elf can be a witch as well. And in this case, we got this witch that is also an elf in a way. So a very funny one. This is one of the illustration that I was sure. This is actually the illustration that Sonia sent me as a sort of a test to see when she was still deciding who to assign the work of illustrating Ku. And I see why, because Jan Pimokulipu it is like the reader, but at the same time, somebody who eats a book. So I tried to, of course, I made like literally a person eating a book, but I put the sauna icon on the book. So to make understand that what is eating is the knowledge in a way. And some of the illustration shifted from the original meaning that we assigned to. For example, this is an illustration that I made for Yan, which is in Ku means hominid, any kind of our ancestor, hominid and everything. And I think that in Ku it ended up in another part of the dictionary to mean more specifically monkey, because I want to make an hominid. There is like a reference of 2001 Space Odyssey on the back. This should be sort of like of a monolith. And another example, and another thing that Sonia and I agreed upon very early is that we would like to avoid having like only one kind of imagery. Luckily enough, my style of illustrating is pretty abstract in a sense. That means that my character are not extremely gender featured. That means that I feature gender like breasts or anything only if it's necessary. Otherwise, we would be sort of like neutral. And in this case, when there was Jan Olin, so that means couple, marriage, not couple, that is Jan Olin too. But yeah, loved one, spouse, of course, husband and wife. So spouse. I decided not only to display a same gender marriage, but also avoid to have every single one of my characters be able. So I also added somebody on a wheelchair so that pretty much everyone has a character. This is pretty simple. This is Kasikule, which is a rose. And I don't know, there's nothing much to say about it. A rose is a rose is a rose, somebody said, I remember. And Soko is mushroom. I really don't know where it comes from. I think that's but I had a lot of fun drawing. Also, these like dead, how do you call that? Dead, nature morte in Italian, you say. Dead nature, I don't know. Still life kind of drawing. And let's get ahead a little faster. Some of them are quite of another ambiguity. Here we have a shark, but is also a manatee or a whale because it's a kalasuli. Another ambiguous one, paliza seli. It might mean a cigar. It might mean a dynamite stick. anything that burns or like a matchstick. So that's why this funny character is sort of like smoking a candle, also smoking a candle. Another ambiguity, pilin monsuta lili means to be shy, but it also means literally feeling like a small monster or feeling scary. You know, Toki Pona has this funny semantic ambiguity. So that's why shy is the little monster here. Another semantic ambiguity we have in Nena that means button and nose. So I wanted to draw something that was at the same time a button and a nose, like in this teddy bear. Okay, these are the quite normal one. Nasin ni, that means this direction. And then we have Mie Lawa Limoli, that is checkmate. Of course, since the Toki Pona community is quite into chess, there is quite a lot of chess-related terms because every language reflects a community. We have a Paliza Laza that should be the arrow, but then went in Ku to something else. I don't remember what. This is the third. Pingo, one of the new words that we have in Ku is for the car. It's a pingo, which is a very nice pingo. And I'm finishing the time, so let's see if we have Tawamuzi. Here another example. Tawamuzi is dancing, and of course, I also wanted to introduce some elderly people, some elderly character to have like every character covered. So we have this sweet elderly couple dancing. And this is a very weird story behind that. Tupasewi, that means alter in the sense of altering something, verb. No, I alter the meaning of a verb. Exactly, because apparently somebody misspelled altar and alter. So supasewi, that means altar, this supasewi, also to mean alter. So it was hard to illustrate this difference between this mistake, but that's what I tried to do. There was another one that I wanted to show, but I think no. I think there are only 2 minutes left, but Jan Lukin is a pirate, Jan Lampantelo, and no, I think okay, here, another example of something that changed. This was meant to be revolution, but Jan and Sonia and I decided that maybe this image of Karl Marx with glasses is not doesn't really mean revolution. So in Ku, you will still find this image, but after the word communism, which of course it's easily identifiable with the old Karl Marx himself. And that's it. I guess my time is over. Let's see a nice one to close. This one. And I would only close by inviting you to visiting my pages, of course. Vakon Satirani is my name. You can find my comics in Toki Pona, in Sitelen under Gumroad, or anything. Just go to vakonsatirani.com, and then you can see my comics, gallery of art I make, and you can take a look of also the other that I have of Toki Pona. And that's it for me. Thank you for in Toki Pona Day.
All right, thank you, Jan Vakon. It's lovely seeing your pictures.
Got it?
And if you haven't picked up to Jan Ali, if you haven't picked up a copy of Ku, go ahead and make that order on Amazon, and you can pore over his wonderful works of art